Do y'all think Tyler Robinson wrote those texts that the police gave us yesterday? I'm going to go over it. Just my opinion. Right after this. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe. Listen, let's get into this. Now, yesterday, I did a video where I went over the charge and indictment for Tyler Robinson. And in that charge and indictment, we saw the series of texts. Now, when I looked at them and I, initially read them online because that was the first place that I saw them online. And that was the first time that I had read them out. But as I've had an opportunity to go back over them, I'm like, this don't sound right. So I went to check to see if anybody else was feeling, the same way I do. And lo and behold, honey, child, if it don't sound like the end of the episode of Law and Order, or when Velma gives her speech after she catches the perpetrator in Scooby-Doo, I don't know what this is. Now, again, let me just put up here a couple of things. I don't know these folks. The views and opinions expressed in my videos represent my own thoughts, concerns, and analysis. I do not know these entities or persons personally or professionally, and my opinions are not statements of fact. And also, here's the copyright. Because, baby, we're going to get into this. We are actually going to get into this. Because I was sitting here, these things are a little questionable. And I'm going to go over my opinion on why it's questionable. But before I do that, again, make sure you all hit that like button. And let me get over here to Twitter. Ciao. X. Because some people are saying pretty much the same thing that have this say it. So let's go on these little texts. So hold on, let me we got them up. All right. X user challenged the authenticity of the text in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And so this is a guy named Elvin Kilgore. He says, I put the alleged text exchange between Tyler Robinson and his transgender lover in ChatGPT and asked if it seemed to be real and genuine. ChatGPT said the texts are most likely fabricated, far too detailed, and too incriminating to be real. So here we go. We got another person that ran the text through Grok, and that is the AI for X. It says, let's see what he says. And the verdict. Here's the verdict. Could it be real? Possibly, but very unlikely because of how detailed, staged, and incriminating it is. More likely, it's fabricated, either by a human writing a mock transcript for dramatic effect or by AI prompted to generate a fake chat log about a violent event. Now, the police are going to have to come up with the actual text messages. So, I would assume that they wouldn't put in any text messages that wasn't considered to be real. But I wanted to see. I wanted to go up here. So let me see if, let's go to the latest. And I'm going down this list just along with you all. And a lot of people have been reposting Evan Kilgore's messaging. But child. And here's why it's interesting to me. Let's get back to, let me stop sharing this screen and let me share my other screen real quick. Give me one. Here's what's interesting to me. Now, this hasn't been substantiated yet. However, everyone seems to be able to assume that he was associated with or he was in meme culture, right? And so again, we go by what we are seeing. Again, it is the job of the police to bring forth all of this evidence. But as somebody who has grown up, because he's 22, so he has spent his life being online, teenage years up into his adulthood, that he's been online. And what I know about Gen Z and Gen Z culture, they don't really write complete sentences. And I'm going to say that again. They use a lot of abbreviations. They use a lot, like I said, they use a lot of different emojis, all these different things because they're typing. And usually it's someone around my age that want to be we've been taught to be clear and to have clarity and not to use abbreviations and all those different things. So it's quite difficult for us to type in all of this stuff with the LOLs and the ATPs. I always have to ask, well, what does ATP mean? What does OAN mean? And once I find out what it means, I may use it as me. But usually as I'm typing, and that's why it takes me so long to type, because I want to make sure that I'm being, we were always taught to be clear in what you're saying, right? So with this person being considered to be a groper, I'm quite sure they're using a lot of meme culture. They're using a lot of similes and all kinds of different things to speak, so they won't speak in complete complete sentences. So this again is this is how his mother tweets, right? And what she says is, happy Halloween, handing out candy alone since these weirdos ditch me. Tyler is some guy from a meme, and Austin is the crazy end of the world's homeless guy, and Logan is a fancy skeleton. So these are who they decided to go for as on Halloween one year. So you're looking at someone who is in that culture. So now that we just kind of get an idea, again, all of this is alleged because it hasn't been presented by the police at this moment. They're still in the middle of their investigation. However, let's look at this first text. So this is coming from page 7 from the charging document. And they're talking about the roommate. It says, so the police interviewed the roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those messages to police. So it says on September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text messages from Robinson which said, drop what you're doing, and this is in quotation, look under my keyboard. The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. Police found a photograph of this note. Now, when I read this yesterday, that stuck out to me when I reread it. They found a photograph. So where did the initial note go? Did the roommate destroy it? Who destroyed the initial note? Where is the initial note? But they said it was the police found a photograph of this note. Where was that photograph found? Because again, you're going to be detailed coming up in this next slide that I'm going to show you. But that should be detailed. And again, did a 22-year-old write these texts? Again, with the way young people write their texts, can I believe with certainty that this young man wrote this text like this? Let's continue. And you're talking about kids who are online pretty much probably 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 to 8 hours a day. So here's what stood out to me. They're talking about the evidence. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. Hold on. Vehicle? I'm a Gen Xer. And in my day-to-day conversations, I do not use the word vehicle. It's my car. It's my ride. But I don't say, I'm going back to my vehicle. Why? Because car is easier to say. My ride is easier to say. Again, lingo is different amongst the generations, but usually law enforcement says vehicle. I'm worried what my old man. Are we watching Sanford and Son? Is this the 1970s? Are we watching blaxploitation movies? Because y'all let me know, Gen Z, do you all say my old man when you're talking about your father? Would it be my dad? Would it be my pops? Honestly, is this how you would speak? And if I didn't bring back grandpa's rifle, what does IDEK mean? I don't even know. If it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace back to me, I might have to abandon it. And I hope they don't find. Why? Is this such a paragraph form? Was these separate texts with these dots? Let me know. Was there no conversation in between all of this? Or he's just. And then it says the only thing I left was the rat. And remember how it was. Why are you having these kind of conversations in text? Now, again, 22-year-olds live online, and I'm quite sure that they go through all of this online. But complete text? Explaining everything? It could just be me. Could be my conspiratorial mind. But that just seems, just doesn't seem, it's not even the speak that I would speak, let alone that I would think that a young 22-year-old would speak. Let's continue. And so we're reading from page 9 of the charge and indictment. And this seems more like what I think that they would write. Judging from today, I'd say grandpa's gun does just fine. And I don't know IDK. It says, delete this exchange. I could believe this part. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says grandpa wants to know who has it. The feds released a photo of the rifle and is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. Why would he say the feds? Remember, did the feds release a copy of that rifle at that time? When did they release that? Because see, I would be more impressed if you're going to have this, then go ahead and give us the exhibits and stuff like that. Give us the messages. Give us so we could see those. Since Trump got into office, and why is this in quotations? What did he call his father? Here he says, my dad. Back here, he said, my old man. My dad, my old man. Those would be consistent, because you call your parents what you call your parents, and you're usually consistent about what you're calling your parents. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Why would he need to explain that? These two are apparently in a relationship. They know each other. The roommate knows the parents. Would he not already know that his father is MAGA, diehard MAGA? You are all I worry about, love. I'm much more worried about you. Then he says, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you a question, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. Now, they have this charge as witness tampering If any police ask you to ask questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. Is that obstruction or is that just good advice? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. And again, here are the charges that he has: aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice from hiding the rifle and hiding the clothing that he had, witness tampering, the statements that he made to his roommate telling him to delete their text messages. Witness tampering pertains to Robinson's statement to his roommate, telling the roommate if any police ask you a question. And then count 7, violent offense committed in the presence of a child. But again, y'all let me know. Do y'all think that these text messages are real? They don't sound real. They just don't sound real. They sound like what someone in law enforcement would write. And there is no indication that Tyler was working for or working in law enforcement. They had rumors saying that his father was in law enforcement, but that has been debunked. But y'all let me know, y'all. Again, you think these text messages are on the up and up? Child, I don't know. Again, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye. Y'all let me know, seriously. And if you are a parent of a Gen Zer who texts regularly, or if you are a Gen Zer yourself, do y'all text like this? Let me know. And as always, people, bye-bye.